Good evening, everyone. There we go. For those who missed the what I said on Twitter, I wanted to start retiring using the model during late night streams, if only because it would be easier on me to do so. Tonight we're going to be reading transcripts of texts surrounding or directly sourced from one of Bungie's earliest story-heavy games, Pathways into Darkness. As much as I would like to play this title, and I fully I can, I don't want to. I just don't wanna. Let me real quick get some more music on. There we go. Bump that a little on my end. That's good enough. Okay. The following text is taken from the original Pathways into Darkness manual, paper copy, pages 1 through 3. Introduction. The alien projection appeared in the early spring of 1994, flickering suddenly into existence deep within the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. The hologram of the Yarrow diplomat interrupted, quite deliberately, an important briefing of the president by his senior military staff. It told them they had 8 days to save the world. No one outside the 6 men present that day knows exactly what was said in the hours that followed, only that the Special Forces team, armed to the teeth, was immediately afterwards ordered to paradrop near the site of an ancient asteroid impact in the Yucatan Peninsula. Background. 64 million years ago, a large extraterrestrial object struck the Earth in what would later be called the Yucatan Peninsula in southeastern Mexico. The dust and rock thrown up by the resulting explosion caused enormous climatic changes in the ensuing years, and many of the Earth's species became extinct during the long winter that followed. The object itself was buried thousands of feet below the ground. Its nearly 2-kilometer length, remarkably intact, it remained there, motionless, for thousands of years before it finally began to stir and to dream. It was a member of a race whose history begun. Oh, geesh. We got ourselves a new follower. Let's, who's up? Who was that? Welcome to the family. Kaylee John. Oh, you want a personalized insult. Let's see. No, thank you for showing up. Let's see, what can I only just met you, so I don't have anything to work off of for the personalized insult. You know what? I'm going to refund that. You keep those points. Save up for something even better. Alright, where was I? It was a member of a race whose history began when the Milky Way was still a formless collection of dust and gas. A powerful race of immortals which had quickly grown bored of their tiny universe and nearly exterminated themselves in war. Basically every day, actually. Like, here, let me lower this so I can focus a bit better. I stream basically every day. Usually I have a habit of showing the schedule at the end of stream. I have yet to decide on what I'm doing next week, so I don't have the schedule ready yet. But usually we play games during the day. I'm in CST, Central Standard Time. So, you know, bear in mind these times are in Central Standard Time. I usually start around 5 p.m. and end around 7 p.m. So I go for 2 hours every day. Sometimes I decide to get a little silly and go for longer. Other times I... I made my own model. I did the art. I learned the rigging from a few pretty decent tutorials on YouTube. I know it's probably not that great a model considering what other people in the community have, but I am kind of like proud of the fact that I managed to like learn how to do all that, and considering that I basically learned everything from scratch, it might be a little impressive. Oh, you're an artist too. That's nice. All right, let's see. Where was I? This particular being, whose name no human throat will ever learn to pronounce, was part of the cataclysmic battle that formed Magellanic clouds billions of years ago. It died there, or it came as close to dying as these things can, and drifted aimlessly for millions of light years before striking the Earth. The heat of impact liquefied the rock around it, which later cooled and encased the dead god's huge body far below ground. As it began to dream, it wrought unintentional changes in its environment. Locked deep beneath the earth, strange and unbelievable things faded in and out of reality. Vast caverns and landscapes bubbled to life within the rock. I think I'll be fine. Thank you. I already deal with a lot of people trying to, you know, sell me all sorts of graphic design and stuff on Twitter. I really don't need any. I can do it myself if I want to. But I appreciate the offer. Populated by horrible manifestations of the dead god's dream. Okay. Only during the last few centuries, as the god began to effect changes on the surface of the earth, grotesque creatures have been sighted deep in the trackless forest of the Yucatan, and strange rumors of an ancient pyramid, which is neither Aztec nor Mayan, in the same area have been circulating in the archaeological community since the early 1930s. The god is awakening. Objective: Though the god can never be killed, the projection of the Yarrow dignitary told us if you're going to be sharing links, please do that in DMs. Unauthorized link posting will result in a timeout. Oh, don't worry, Nokiro. You're fine. You've only ever really posted links with permission, and I appreciate that. I'm more so saying it out loud for Kaylee John, who's new here. The projection of the Yarrow dignitary told us here on Earth that if we acted quickly, we could prevent it from awakening. To do this, however, someone was going to have to carry a low-yield nuclear device down to the god's body and detonate it there. This would not only stun the dreaming god, but further bury it under millions of tons of rock. The Yarrow claimed to have made an extensive survey of the Earth's technology and maintained that this is the only way. More permanent measures will be taken by the aliens themselves, who are already on their way, when they arrive in 2.5 Earth years. The aliens have provided us with a great deal of intelligence on the strange pyramid in the Yucatan and the catacombs below. This information has been compiled into this briefing and has been presented to you and every other member of the assault team. Good luck. Timetable. Ryutoth, the Yarrow representative, appeared via hologram in the Pentagon at 1500 hours, 3 p.m. on Thursday, May 5th, 1994. You and the rest of the assault team will be dropped from a C-151 transport over the Yucatan shortly after 0200, 2 a.m. on Sunday, May 8th. This leaves 5 days before the dreaming god awakes. Sometime in the afternoon of the following Friday. In addition to weapons and ammunition, your squad of 8 men will carry a small, low-yield nuclear device and 3 radio beacons. The bomb must be placed at the lowest point you are able to descend into the god's tunnels. Detonation can be delayed as long as 48 hours of the bomb's timer, but under no circumstances should occur after 1400, 2 p.m. on Friday. Upon returning to the surface, triggering any one of the radio beacons will signal the extraction team to pick you up. 10 minutes are required from the time the extraction signal is given to the time the helicopters arrive at the pyramid. Allow an additional 10 minutes for the helicopters to reach minimum safe distance from the explosion of the nuclear device you have been given. Game introduction. Unfortunately, things don't go quite as planned. During the jump from the C-151, your primary parachute fails and you are able to pull the reserve only moments before crashing through the forest canopy toward the ground. 2 hours later, you awake, unharmed except for a few bruises. You realize that most of your equipment is missing or damaged. Fortunately, someone else jumped with the nuclear device. The muzzle of your M16 is bent just enough to render it useless, and the bag holding the spare clips for your Colt 45 is lost in the deep jungle underbrush. About the only things which you didn't break are your flashlight and your survival knife. You finally reach the pyramid by foot at a little after 0600, 6 a.m. The rest of your team must have entered nearly 4 hours ago. Armed with only a knife and the knowledge contained in this briefing, you follow them. In addition, the manual also contains the following pieces which provide additional story details. Page 10. Walls. This one is pretty obvious. You can't walk through them. At least most of them. Columns. Columns support the ceiling. They serve no other function as far as you're concerned. Miscellaneous debris. You'll undoubtedly come across debris in the corridors, such as bones, standing water, moss, slime molds, etc. You must realize that this pyramid has been lying around for millions of years, and there's no maid service. You can't pick up the debris. On page 11, previously living sentient beings, PLSBs. You'll meet many people that have entered the pyramid before you. Unfortunately, most of them are dead. You can search the bodies by clicking the search button while standing on top of them. The CIA has provided intelligence of a German expedition in the late 1930s. Apparently, the Nazis were looking for a quote-unquote secret weapon, but none of them ever returned from the pyramid. If only there were a way to talk to them. Page 14. In Pathways into Darkness, you are a Special Forces agent on a mission to save the world from a hostile alien god. To complete your mission, you must detonate a small nuclear device at the bottom, the most level of the god's tunnels. To complete your mission and survive, you must return to the surface and signal an extraction team to pick you up. For this mission, you and your team are heavily equipped to complete the job. Unfortunately, most of the equipment was either damaged in the botched paradrop or carried by the other team members. You have only a survival knife, flashlight, Colt 45, no ammo, small canvas bag, map, and watch. You do not have a small nuclear device or a radio beacon. In parentheses, bummer. Speaking of bummers, you know what? No. We're not gonna get into this stressful shit. This is supposed to be a nice, calm Sunday stream. Page 17. Time. The game starts at 6:13 on Sunday morning. You must detonate the nuclear device before 2 p.m. on Friday to complete the mission. In addition, keep in mind that if you wish to survive, you must escape to the surface and signal the extraction team with the radio beacon. Okay, that's... yeah, whatever. Oh. Here's new information. Also keep in mind that resting takes up a lot of time. Page 18. Treasure. A sub-directive of your mission is to collect any artifacts or treasure that you may come across. These items will be studied by top archaeologists and may provide answers to the origins of the universe. Arming the nuclear device. To arm the nuclear device, you must enter the following arming code: 28703334. Under no circumstances should the bomb be set to explode after 1400, 2 p.m. on Friday. Don't forget your oath of secrecy as a Special Forces agent. The penalty for divulging this top secret information is death. We can now move on to the pyramid. Ground floor. Alright, let's see. Alright, let's see. I'm clicking around just to see the different places you go from here. That they pointed us toward the next article to properly read. We are now in the Conversations with the Dead after I clicked around a few times. So, apparently on page... congratulations on stealing the fastest hands in the West from everyone else, Mold. So, the importance of talking to the dead cannot be overstressed. One cannot win without doing so. Oh. Oh dear. The dead provide vital clues for accessing certain levels and finding items that are essential to survival. In addition, they sometimes warn you about monsters and their potential weaknesses. The dead also have a story to tell. One can gain some idea of the importance Bungie placed on talking to the dead by noting that it is referred to in the manual no less than 5 separate times. Here are the relevant pieces. The first time is just a mention of PLSBs. The second time was on page 15 of the manual, reading, "It is not known how many kinds of crystals you will come across, nor what the effects of most of them are. Hint: the yellow crystal can be used to talk to dead people. Discharging the yellow crystal while standing on a dead person will initiate a conversation." On page 17, in Pathways, you can talk to dead people to initiate a conversation with the dead person. Walk towards them until the message, "You see a dead whatever," appears in the message window, and then discharge the yellow crystal. Conversations take place through the conversation dialogue. Type a word into the edit box and click the speak button to get a response. All dead people respond to the words name and death by telling you their name and how they died, respectively. Dead people can provide valuable clues to solving some of Pathways' puzzles. Try asking the dead person about things that he has already mentioned. There is an example screenshot. On page 18, talk to all dead people, discharging the yellow crystal. Yeah, we've learned that already. And on page 19, I can't talk to any of the dead people. Make sure you have the yellow crystal and it is ready. Double click on it to ready it. Walk toward the person you wish to speak to until the message Oh yeah, we've seen that before. Once you are standing on the dead person, pressing the tab key discharges the crystal and initiates the conversation. In parentheses, also, remember the power bar must be full before you press the tab key. At this stage, it should be obvious that you need the yellow crystal to talk to the dead. Bungie didn't make finding this an easy task, however. When you start the game, you have a 50-50 chance of finding the yellow crystal early on. If you choose wrong, you can waste valuable time by proceeding along a path of certain death. That is highlighted in... Yeah, that was highlighted in yellow, and it linked to an image of an enemy, which I believe is one of the enemies that cannot be murdered with guns or knives. You have to use magic on it. Even when you have the yellow crystal, talking to the dead can be a time-consuming and tricky business. The manual offers some advice here. We read that already. Now there's default triggers, name and death, internal triggers, words used by the dead person, and external triggers, words used by other dead people. In a few cases, quote-unquote, seemingly not used by any dead people can trigger a conversation. For example, there is a post where someone has figured out that the words Street Fighter trigger an a response and the word pathways can also trigger a response. Here we go. In addition, you have a first meeting remark, and in some cases a second meeting remark, which automatically appear when you discharge the yellow crystal over a dead person. Some dead people are extremely talkative, and you can be quickly swamped with information. It helps to record parts of a conversation since the information can be of value later on. Points to note. 1. Game time is suspended when you talk to the dead. There's no need to worry about running out of time. Stop and chat for as long as you want. 2. The yellow crystal will not wear out and shatter with repeated use unlike the other crystals. Use it as often as you want. On October 3rd, 2000, Jacob Arberg made this interesting observation. Just thought I'd tell you that using a combination of res edit and pathways into cheating, but nobody uses that of course, one can alter the first dead person you meet to use the script of any other, and then, unless you don't have the alien pipe, or can't be arsed with it, can cheat it into your possession, and as such, be able to talk to every undead in the game. So what, you might ask? Well, Jacob has just handed us a way to read those encrypted SCRI resources in the demo version 1 and 2.0. And also the SCRI resource associated with the headless Carlos in the full game. It's a simple copy and paste job, folks. What story secrets lie in these demo SCRI resources? Only the dead know. Here's one for a start. Muller originally started out as a sergeant. But I've revealed too much. Go find the rest for yourself. That's 77% of the fun. Well, of course. Now, let's read the conversation with the first dead anonymous German soldier in the game. Upon first meeting him, he says the following. What's happening? Who are you? What are you? Am I dead? Where am I? You ask him his name. I don't remember my name. I can see my face in the mirror, shaving in the jungle this morning, before we broke camp and came here, but I don't remember my name. If you ask him about the jungle, he insists that you do not talk about the jungle. If you ask him about camping, he will state, we camped a few miles away, but that was my last night outside. Death. Muller shot me in the back because I wouldn't follow him through this door, but he didn't come back. He got what he deserved. If you ask about Muller, he will inform you that Muller was our captain. An ugly, short little man, totally devoted to our country. A real bastard. He shot me twice in the back. If you ask this soldier about their country, he will state, we were all from Germany. Good evening, Kel of Kells 2. Welcome to the chat room. If you ask the dead soldier about door or about, following, he will state, Muller had some strange musical instrument he brought from Germany. When he played it on that rune in the middle of the floor, those two locked doors opened. If you continue this line of questioning and ask him about the instrument, I didn't see it for long, but it was a bizarre brass device covered with green cloth. If you then ask him about the rune, he will say, that strange drawing on the floor. There are 4 where the 4 corridors meet. If you ask the soldier about his mission, Muller, that bastard, never told us what our mission here was. Just that we would be in the jungle for a few months. This jungle is a humid, sticky hell. I remember Cologne. Then if you ask the soldier about Cologne, God, I'll never see it again. Are you sure I'm dead? How can you know? How could I be talking to you if I were dead? You ask this fella about his friends. All my friends are dead now. 7 above, the rest below. Muller killed them all. Now, I'm going to have to ask you to let the number 7 just live inside your brain for the rest of time. It will be even more important when we eventually get to reading the lore for Bungie's next set of games, Marathon. If you try saying to him any word that doesn't trigger a new conversation, will get either the reply, "I don't understand. What do you mean?" Or, "Are you trying to confuse me? What are you saying?" If you come back to this corpse and talk to him again, his first remark will be, "Who are you? Am I dead? I remember now." And if you ask him what he means by remember, he will state, "Yes, this has happened before. The same weird, speechless, disembodied sort of conversation. I don't remember more, sorry." Additional notes. Eventually, I want to get into the connections between early Halo and Marathon as well. But yes, we're going down this rabbit hole. Additional notes. In version 2.0 of Pathways into Darkness, the following conversation triggered by the word mission was altered. Muller never told us what our mission here was, just that we would be in the jungle for a few months. This jungle is a humid, sticky hell. I remember Cologne. The term bastard was dropped. While this may have been an attempt to tone down the language in the game, that not all references to bastard were removed. For example, the response to the name Muller was unchanged. The internal word trigger, remember, would appear to be intended for after the second meeting remark. However, since the word also arises when you ask the soldier's name, it can also be triggered before this. Alright, let's go back. Now from this, we can gather that Muller obviously didn't trust his men enough to tell them what their mission was at the pyramid. However, from the manual we can glean they were looking for some kind of secret weapon down there. There are 2 dead Germans on this on the next floor called Lock and Load. There's a significant amount of ammo on this one, but getting into the weeds about that kind of stuff isn't relevant for this. So let's read the conversation with the anonymous German soldier for this level. Upon meeting him the first time, sorry, I'm having a throat moment. Upon meeting him the first time, his remark will be, "I'm cold, so cold." If you ask him his name, "I don't remember, I'm so cold." If you ask him about death, "Death is so cold and lonely, I can't recall anything." And then at any word after that, we'll just have him repeat his meeting remark. So this guy is literally worthless in terms of wringing information out of this game. Now for the second dead German soldier on this level. Upon first meeting this man, he will state, "You handle a P4 well for a foreigner." If you question him on, what he exactly means by the word foreigner, he will explain, "It's obvious from the way you talk that you're not from Germany or even Europe. You must be from the States." If you ask him what the fuck he means by the way you talk, he will just blandly state, "You have a Yankee accent." If you ask him his name, this gentleman will inform you, "My name is Gunther, I think. It's so hard to remember things. So much time alone to think." If you ask him what he means by alone, "It's horrible. Being conscious but deprived of nearly all other senses like this. I wonder how long it will last." If you ask him about his death, something interesting comes up. "I was leading a group of 4 men, and we stumbled on 5 of those long-tongued monsters. Hans and Barons ran, and I died trying to give Joachim time to escape. He was wounded." If you ask about the monsters with long tongues, he will say, "Those headless things disgust me. There were so many of them after a while that we started killing them with our knives to conserve ammunition. The zombies were a different story." If you ask about the zombies, he'll state, "The only way to stop those zombies is to shoot them until they dissolve." If you bring up Hans was in charge of carrying most of our ammunition. Because he couldn't shoot straight, he wasn't with the group when they came back. So if you can find him, ask him what he did with all of it. If you ask him about Barons, "I don't remember Barons very well. He mostly kept to himself." And if you ask about Joachim and I were good friends. I hope he made it out. If you bring out Muller, nobody liked Muller. I was no exception. He didn't even tell us why we were here. I hardly even know where I am. Additional notes. There doesn't appear to be a second meeting remark associated with Gunther yet. Chuck Gray's dead scripts, extracted from the SCRI resources, would suggest otherwise. The dead scripts give this conversation under SCRI 130. "Hello again. I hope the P4 is still working. If not, take mine." Since Gunther says "hello again," it would suggest a second meeting remark. Gunther also refers to Walter P4 as he did in the first meeting. How this conversation is triggered is yet, as of yet, unknown. Interesting to note that asking about the P4 will trigger the same conversation that the word Hans does. However, it seems more appropriate to trigger this after Gunther gives the names of his 4-man team. Interestingly, the P4 is mentioned nowhere during the Hans exchange. Now, that doesn't do anything huge for the story. However, it does give you a handful of names to remember when asking around in later conversations with Germans in the game. As well as, you know, some tips like kill the headless things with your knife to conserve ammo. You know, stuff like that. Oh. Sorry, I'm ooh. Just scratching an itch. Alright, so we go on to the next level. They may be slow. On this map, there is a blue crystal, as well as Hans, and an anonymous German soldier. So let's go to the conversation with Hans. Upon first meeting Hans, he will say, "We just couldn't kill them. Our bullets went right through those phantasms. Watch out, they're everywhere." If you start asking questions such as about the bullets, I jumped down the ladder from the level above and ran all the way here. Somewhere on the way, I hid most of my spare clips in a room full of bones, stuffed in a skull. Search there if you need them. If you ask about the phantasms, Muller called them shades. They're this horrible, chilling moment when they scream, your vision flickers, and I wonder if you're going to die. We never found a way to kill them. You ask about Muller. Oh, Muller, damn him. This is all his fault. I'm sure he's dead somewhere. Now, you bring up shades, and he mentions. He called them shades because you can see right through them, like they're just shadows. They have two red glowing eyes. Run as fast as you can if you see one. And if you ask about the scream, their screams are awful. Don't make me think about it. Now, if you ask about his name, my name is Hans. I think I remember being called Hans. One of those, if you ask about his death, he will state, one of those shadowy things enveloped and killed me. Nothing seemed to hurt it. Bolts, knives, grenades. I ran as far as I could. Wounded. But I finally died here. You ask about the knives. Our machetes worked great on the headless creatures, and we saved bullets by killing them that way. But blades didn't hurt the specters. You bring up grenades. The grenades worked great on the headless creatures, but we only had about 30 of them, and we used them too fast. At this juncture, if you ask about the mission, Muller never told us why we were here. I died for nothing, I'm sure. If you ask about Barons, Joachim, or Claude, a name we will no doubt see later, I didn't know them very well. Sorry, I was a new recruit. You question the word recruit. Of all the first missions I could have been on, I had to come to this place. If you come to talk to him a second time, he'll ask, "Why are you back? Leave! Get out of here before they come back." And if you continue on, talking to him with the word leave, he'll just say, "Yes, leave." Interestingly, he does not respond to the name Gunther. Hang on, I'm getting distracted. All right. Now, there is another anonymous German soldier on this level. Upon introducing yourself, he will say, "What are you? What's happening?" If you ask him his name, he will say, "I don't remember my name. I don't remember my family. All I remember is this dusty room and those people who have passed through it since I died." If you continue to press this man about his family, he'll say, "I don't remember them. I told you I do not remember them." If you ask about the people, you'll start, "A group of people passed through here years ago, and one of their group walked through the opposite wall of this room. I don't know how he did it." If you ask about the group, you will say, "They were speaking Spanish. I couldn't tell where they were from specifically." If you ask about the wall, I'd point to it if I could, but I'm sort of dead. Sorry. It's opposite the entrance you came in, if you want to try. If you ask him about his death, he'll say, "Isn't it obvious? Or didn't you notice both my legs are missing? I can still see that headless thing chewing and clawing at me." If you ask about the headless, he'll say, "I hate them. I hate them. Don't talk about them. Go away, please. Go away." If you ask about Muller, he will say, "Muller was the leader of our expedition. How did you know about him?" "Never mind, I don't care." If you ask about Hans, "Hans ran through here, alone, a few hours after I died. He ran right into two of those zombies and fled in the direction he came. He looked badly hurt." You ask about the zombies, he'll say, "We all hated those zombies. The only way to stop them from attacking was to shoot them until they dissolved." You ask about Barons, Joachim, or Claude. "I didn't know them very well." If you come back, he will say, "Why are you back? Go away. Don't disturb me." Additional notes. According to Chuck Gray's Dead Scripts, there's a conversation associated with this dead person that doesn't appear to be triggerable. The text is as follows: "To train Mexican troops for an invasion of Texas and California, but they were wrong, obviously." Who were they? The Spanish-speaking people? Or his German compatriots? Now, interestingly, this presents something significant. A second group of people. there's more to this, apparently. Let's see. Good evening. Ch3RR3Y Blos X Alms. How are you this evening? Let's see, where do we go next? All right. Thank you, Cherry. Let's see, anything on the map? All right, let's see. Conversation with Claude on this map. For reference, we are all the way down to evil undead phantasms must die. If you are following along on the site, pid.bungie.org. Upon introducing yourself to Claude, you will say, "Don't take my gun, please. Go away. They're following you, don't you see them?" If you ask him about his gun, you will say, "Don't take it, please. I'll need it if they come back. They haven't seen me yet." If you ask him who they are, "The Spectres, please leave before they find me." If you ask him about his name, he will state, "Claude is dead now. He wants you to leave." If you ask him about his death, "A specter got so close to me I could hardly see. It was cold and dark, just like now. I was already wounded." If you ask him about, it being cold, you'll say, "Don't make me think about it. It's one of the few things I do remember, and it was horrible." If you ask him about his wounds, "I got hurt badly a few minutes before the specter got me. We were ambushed by headless creatures, and 3 of them wounded me." If you ask about Muller, I've been trying to recall his name for years. He's the one who brought us to this place. I hope he died here. None of us liked him." If you ask about the place, "I remember seeing the pyramid from outside during the day and thinking that it looked empty and abandoned." If you mention empty or abandoned, he'll state blithely, "I couldn't have been more wrong." If you ask about any of the other named Germans up to this point, he'll just say he doesn't remember them. Specifically, "I hardly remember him." And that's it for this dead guy. Anything else? Anything else on this screen? Now, there's a pearl on this floor. The official hint book has something interesting to say about this. Other than increase your score and thereby your vitality, it serves as the title to a really lousy story by Steinbeck. The Pearl, by American writer John Steinbeck, tells the story of a poor Mexican Indian pearl diver, Kino, who finds an extraordinarily large pearl, hoping that it will bring a better life for his family. He soon discovers that the rare gem is instead a conveyor of greed, envy, and ultimately death. Interestingly enough, the story is based in Mexico in the 1930s. If you remember, the manual had this to say about the pyramid. Only during the last few centuries has the god begun to effect changes on the surface of the earth. Grotesque creatures have been sighted deep in the trackless forests of the Yucatan, and strange rumors of an ancient pyramid, which is neither Aztec nor Mayan, in the same area have been circulating in the archaeological community since the early 1930s. There is a single MP41 magazine on this floor, perhaps a telling of things to come. So we move on to the next floor. Ah. On this floor, you actually get the alien pipes, which, in their item description, state, "This bizarre musical instrument reminds you vaguely of a book you once read while you were a child. You can't quite place it." These are the same pipes mentioned in relation to Muller as something he had brought from Germany. Interesting how the Germans would have something like this in the 1930s. There is a conversation with Joachim on this level. When you first interact with him, this unfortunate dead soldier will state, "What a miserable place to spend eternity. Death is far worse than you can imagine." You ask him his name, he gets straight to the point. "My name is Joachim." Ask about his death. "I crawled into this dead end after I was wounded, while the others were fighting a group of zombies. A headless creature found me. After that, Muller turned back and left." You mentioned he was wounded. He will state, "I let one of those phantasms get too close to me. That was nearly the end." You bring up the phantasms, continuing down this line of questioning. Those invincible phantasms are finally what convinced Muller we should turn back, I think. There are at least 3 on this level. You should turn back too. If you bring up the zombies. We met one zombie wearing blue instead of the usual red, and it raised its arms and made the ground shake like an earthquake. Muller and Frederick killed it quickly. If you bring up Frederick, Friedrich was Muller's second. He survived this far. You bring up the Headless. They're blind, weak monsters, but I couldn't fight it off because I was hurt. If you press him about Muller only brought the expedition this far and then turned back. Took him almost a day. With 7 deaths, I realized we were going the wrong way. Expedition. Muller was looking for something to help Germany in the war. I don't know what it was. He never told us anything. If you mention Germany or war, sometimes I wonder if the war even started, or how long it is going, or whether it's over. Most of the time, I don't care. If you mention the word 7, well, number properly, 3 of them were Claude, Hans, and Gunther. I can't remember the other 4. Or whatever barons, or whether barons made it out or not. You bring up Claude or Hans, and he will say they died on lower levels. If you bring up barons, he will state, I think barons made it out when the group retreated, but I'm not sure. If you mention the words wrong or way, Muller was an idiot. Even I could tell this was the wrong way. If you mention the grenades, if only we'd had some grenades left. The second mean remark is, why are you back? Leave. Get out before they come back. Interestingly, he doesn't even respond to the name Gunther. There's only one or 2 dead Germans thus far who have responded to the name Gunther, despite him being the first one you meet. And I think that's a little funny. All right. Here we go. There's an anonymous German soldier here we haven't inspected the dialogue of. This is on the right half of But They're Hungry. Watch out for the specters. They're everywhere. If you mention the specters, I hate those translucent things. Run from them. It's all you can do. If you ask about his name, I don't have a name. Not anymore. Anymore? Names don't matter now. Death. I was running from a specter when I met 3 of those ghastly zombie creatures. They surrounded me and clubbed me with their bones. Zombie. I much preferred the headless things, which stomped spitting at you when you shot them. The only way to stop a zombie is to kill it. Headless. We were all covered with their green goo by the time we got this far. It smelled revolting. Bones. It was really easy to dodge the zombie bones. If you had space to move around, I was trapped. Interestingly, this is the first German thus far that does not respond to Muller. At this juncture, you can use the alien pipes. And access a door on ground floor that was previously inaccessible, not unaccessible. There's a conversation on this floor with barons. Let me stretch real quick. I'm thinking read up to halfway through the catacombs, which is the floor we can see in the dark, can you? And then wrap up for the night. Actually, we still have to decide on what I'm doing next week. I know precisely what to do. I'll give you a poll and you'll have 10 minutes to decide. So, Dragon Quest 8. Here we go. I'll load it up with RPG games. And you guys can decide what flavor of bullshit you want. Yeah, as a meme, what should I do? As a meme, the final one will be... Yeah, just as a joke, just put in a Revelations persona. Start the poll. Vote now on your phones or other device on which you may be viewing this stream. I have a plethora of options available to you, and the one that wins will be what I play all week next week. Alright, let's see. Upon first meeting with barons, he will say, "You scared me. I thought you were one of those big rock-throwing monsters. They still bother me, even now." Ask him his name and he will introduce himself. "Barons. I think my name is Barons. It's hard not to forget over all this time." Ask him about forgetting. "Death isn't final and abrupt, like I expected. You're only truly dead when you've forgotten everything. When you remember nothing of your former self." You ask about death. My skull was crushed by one of those huge ghouls. They're not very tough to kill, but they sure hit hard. I saw Muller killed 2 with his knife. You ask about, Muller. I saw Muller unload an entire clip from his machine pistol into a group of those monsters, and then kill the last 2 with his knife. Ask about the pistol. Ah yes, the MP41. We had several of them. The group took mine when they left. The group? There were 18 of us, I think. And I doubt anyone left alive. I never saw anyone come back this way. Alive. If Muller hadn't let us use all the grenades early on those pathetic headless creatures, I might still be alive now. You ask about Gunther, Hans, or Joachim, you will say they're dead. If you ask about Friedrich, who I believe we meet later, you'll say, oh no, I remember Friedrich. Sorry, I was having a senior moment. If you ask about Friedrich, he will say, I didn't know Friedrich very well. Interestingly, asking about big rock-throwing monsters will also elicit the same response as just asking about death. So let's return. Now this tells us a few things. 1, there were 18 Germans. 2, no one came back alive. It also confirms something we probably could have, assumed. The Germans had machine guns. So on to the next floor. Welcome, Tasty Primate. There's nothing here. Except for a locked door. A locked silver door. And some alcoves, but... yeah, whatever. No, yeah, whatever. You know? Sincerely, there's really nothing much. Now we go back up into wrong way. Which means, yeah, you go back up into wrong way and it transports you into a different section of the level. Go back down into Welcome Tasty Primate. And there's an anonymous German soldier. There's a silver key here, which is important. You can talk to an anonymous German soldier here who is dead. When you meet him first, he says, it was 12 days ago. It must have been. When you ask about, what he means by 12 days. Oh, sorry. He will state 12. No. He will state, no, not 12. Hundreds. 16 Sundays, even. I've been counting. I can tell you haven't. You ask about names, he'll say, names are unimportant, but I know yours. I'll never tell him. Don't worry. I know better. You ask about him, and this fellow will say, I can't say. He who rises with the tides. Master of all things small and is insignificant. When you ask about the tides, he'll say, not the tides, fool. Don't you understand? You are allowed to say yes or no to this, but either way, it doesn't matter. If you ask about death, he'll say, I'm not dead. I've only settled down to rest for a moment. Go along. I'll catch up with you soon. You ask about grenades, he'll say, grenades, tasty. Now, the official hints book seems to imply that he's nuts, His elevator doesn't go all the way to the top. A couple beers short of a six-pack. All his dogs aren't barking. A couple cheerleaders short of a squad, He's a League of Legends player. But is he? We'll have to find that out probably another time. Now we go up. Now we go up. Interestingly, the orange crystal is actually red. Like, it's literally red colored. It's not orange. However, it is useful for killing and murder. We've reached the stopping point for tonight. I'm going to check on the poll. Dwarf Fortress wins with 2 votes. So that's what I'm going to be doing all week next week. I'll get the schedule made tonight, I suppose. And there will be, I have special events planned for the 21st and the 25th. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Sleep well. It's 10:46 p.m. If you need to get like a late night snack, now's a great time to do so. Get yourself something to eat, something to drink. Love yourself. Love others. Tell the people you care about that you care about them. And of course, beat your dick like it does you want to eat. Oh yeah, before I forget. The Silent Hill 2 highlights video is out. It's out, it's done. I finished editing it. And I'm going to grab the link so I can spam it in chat before I leave. This has been months in the making. 2.5 hours long, roughly the length of one stream. I got all the best bits in there. There's the link. Just go ape shit, bookmark it for later, whatever you need to do. And I think that's about all I had planned. See you tomorrow. And have a wonderful evening. Good night. Where's the button?